It's Thursday, the 24th of April. Welcome to the President's Daily Brief. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. All right, let's get briefed. We'll start things off today at the border, where the Trump administration's crackdown is shaking up cartel operations. Now, smuggling networks are shifting and adjusting their targets, and Americans are getting caught in the crosshairs. Later in the show, India reels from its deadliest terror attack in years. A militant group has claimed responsibility, and now Indian forces are hitting back hard. Plus, Hamas says it's ready to release hostages. Oh, it's ready now? Under a new truce, as the Palestinian Authority openly criticizes the Iranian-backed group, accusing them, meaning Hamas, of prolonging the war and calling for disarmament. And in today's back of the brief, a major legal strike against a violent migrant gang operating across the U.S. The Trump administration is using the RICO process to go after Tren de Aragua, Venezuela's violent TDA gang that's made significant inroads into America. But first, today's PDB Spotlight. We'll begin today with an update from the U.S. southern border, where Mexico's powerful drug cartels are shifting tactics in the wake of President Trump's sweeping crackdown on their migrant smuggling operations. According to an exclusive report from News Nation, the drug barons of Mexico are increasingly pivoting to kidnapping civilians for ransom, including American tourists, to make up for their lost revenue streams. When America's borders were wide open, cartels were making a killing on what they called, quote, floor fees from migrants looking to enter America illegally. Basically, migrants would pay cartels for the privilege of passing through their territory as they made their way to the U.S. Cartels also generated significant revenue from human trafficking operations, with migrants paying to be smuggled across the U.S.-Mexico border. But those operations have been significantly undermined by the Trump administration's myriad actions to tighten security and block access routes, along with their mass deportation agenda, which has dissuaded potential migrants from making the trek. As PDB listeners are aware, President Trump declared a national emergency at the southern border when he began his second term and deployed thousands of troops to assist border agents in curbing the flow of migrants. Migrant encounters have since dropped to a record low, plunging some 95% in March when compared to the previous year. The rapid decline is hitting the cartels where it matters most, and that would be in their wallets, and now they're looking for new ways to mitigate their losses. As I mentioned, one tactic that is gaining popularity involves kidnapping Mexican and American civilians for ransom. They're targeting those who they think have something to lose, like a lucrative business, or who have family members that are willing to pay a hefty fee for the release of their loved ones. While it's difficult to say how many Mexican civilians have been impacted, we do know that 2 Americans were kidnapped by cartel members earlier this month outside a sports bar in the Mexican border town of Juarez. They were held for nearly 3 days at a house in South Juarez before being rescued by Mexican State Police in partnership with the FBI, which provided technical support to track down the suspects. The Americans were found alongside migrants from Central America and China. All had been severely beaten and tortured by the suspects in an attempt to extract ransom payments. The U.S. State Department has since issued travel advisories warning Americans to stay away from at least 6 Mexican states due to the rising threat. Meanwhile, the state of Chihuahua, where the abduction took place, has been placed under what's called a reconsider travel advisory, with the State Department warning U.S. tourists and government officials to avoid traveling between cities after dark and to only take approved transport, like registered taxis. While the danger is significant, the kidnapping for ransom business is still just a side hustle for the cartels. Their primary revenue stream remains illicit drugs, and as their migrant business dries up, they're reportedly putting a renewed focus on large-scale drug smuggling operations. Authorities in Texas and San Diego have seen a major influx in narcotics smuggling in recent months and are warning that the efforts of the cartels are intensifying. Officials with the Texas Department of Public Safety, for example, said they recently seized more than 500 pounds of cocaine valued at nearly $7 million, smuggled inside a tractor trailer at the far port of entry. That followed the seizure of nearly 800 pounds of cocaine, valued north of $10 million, in a series of border-crossing busts by Texas state authorities. In San Diego, Border Patrol agents recently seized hundreds of pounds of meth, cocaine, fentanyl, and heroin, along with firearms and ammunition, in a massive multi-agency operation that led to the arrest of 20 smugglers. One Texas state official bluntly warned, quote, "As illegal border crossings decline, Mexican drug cartels are increasing drug smuggling efforts." U.S. authorities are obviously not sitting idly by. They've been expanding operations using spy planes and drones equipped with advanced radar and infrared sensors in partnership with the Mexican government to track their operations. In late March, the Trump administration also directed 2 intelligence agencies to train their surveillance satellites on the U.S.-Mexico border in order to help supplement the ongoing efforts. Additionally, 2 Navy guided missile destroyers were recently deployed to the region to support drug interdiction efforts. All right, coming up next, India responds with force after its deadliest terror attack in years, and Hamas floats a new hostage deal as the Palestinian Authority, the PA, publicly slams Hamas and demands disarmament. I'll be right back. Hey, Mike Baker here. Well, I'm happy to report that it's grilling season. You probably already knew that, right? And I'm about to tell you where to get the finest beef that you can throw on your grill. I'm talking about a classic American business. Generations of family raising high-quality beef in the great state of Texas. And of course, I must be talking about Tri-Tails beef. Now, Tri-Tails isn't some corporate meat factory. It's not a faceless corporation. Tri-Tails is a 5th-generation Texas ranch where cattle are pasture-raised, grain-finished, and raised the right way. They handle the beef on site, and they ship it straight to your door. There's no mystery or middlemen. All their beef is sourced to match the genetics and care that they've built into their herd, ensuring consistent marbling, tenderness, and rich flavor in every cut. As we say, small batch, big flavor. You can taste the difference the moment it hits the grill. Whether it's a ribeye, a filet, or a New York strip, it's the kind of beef that brings people together. USDA prime and choice, hand-packed, and ready for your table. And right now, they've got a special offer just for PDB listeners. Go to trybeef.com/PDB and get 2 free flat iron steaks with your first box over $250. That's trybeef.com/PDB. Support real ranchers and eat like you mean it. Welcome back to the PDB. The terror attack that left at least 26 vacationers dead in the long-disputed region of Kashmir has now been claimed by a terror group widely seen as a front for the Pakistan-based Islamist group Lashkar-e-Taiba. The terror attack that left at least 26 vacationers dead in the long-disputed region of Kashmir has now been claimed by a terror group widely viewed as a front for the Pakistan-based Islamist group Lashkar-e-Taiba, or LET, further igniting hostilities between India and Pakistan, both, might I add, nuclear-armed. As we reported on Wednesday's PDB, gunmen opened fire on a group of Indian tourists and 1 Nepalese national on Tuesday in Pahalgam. That's a resort town nestled deep in Indian-controlled Kashmir, marking the most lethal civilian massacre in the region in years. According to Indian officials cited by the Indian Express, the attackers, believed to consist of 7 men armed with automatic rifles, staged a coordinated ambush during a 20-minute firefight in an isolated meadow. The attack wounded at least 17, and in the immediate aftermath, authorities detained over 1,500 individuals across Jammu and Kashmir as part of the investigation. A manhunt for the terrorists is still underway. Now, the Resistance Front, or TRF, it's a shadowy outfit that Indian intelligence describes as a proxy of LET, claimed responsibility on social media. The justification given by the group claiming responsibility? Well, accusations that New Delhi is orchestrating a forced demographic shift by settling over 85,000 so-called outsiders into the Muslim-majority region. TRF, the proxy group of LET, issued a chilling threat, warning that, quote, violence will be directed toward those attempting to settle illegally. For those unfamiliar with TRF, the group emerged in 2019 and has since operated as a digital mouthpiece for LET's broader insurgency. Indian authorities say TRF exists largely to give Pakistan plausible deniability, masking LET's hand in Kashmir's militancy. Analysts at the South Asia Terrorism Portal think tank in New Delhi are unequivocal, stating that, quote, all TRF operations are essentially LET operations, with shared logistics and recruitment networks. Indian intelligence also links the terror group to cross-border arms and narcotics trafficking. Now, Reuters notes that TRF has spent the past 2 years issuing death threats to journalists, politicians, and civil society figures deemed sympathetic to Indian governance. Pakistan, for its part, continues to deny any link to TRF, while ironically offering the group its, quote, moral and diplomatic support. New Delhi's response to the attack has been swift and forceful. In an emergency security briefing chaired by Prime Minister Modi, India suspended its participation in the Indus Waters Treaty. That's a decades-old pact critical to Pakistan's agricultural sector. The shared Attari border crossing has been shuttered indefinitely. Pakistani military envoys in New Delhi were expelled, labeled, quote, persona non grata, and given 1 week to leave the country. Visas issued under the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation exemption framework have been revoked, and any Pakistani nationals remaining in India under that framework now have reportedly 48 hours to leave the country. India's Foreign Secretary vowed that the country will, quote, be unrelenting in the pursuit of those who committed acts of terror or conspired to make them possible. India's military units across the region remain on high alert, of course. The country's defense minister echoed the sentiment, signaling that retaliatory action, including military action, remains firmly on the table. And with both India and Pakistan in possession of nuclear arsenals, this latest escalation in one of the world's most volatile flashpoints could carry consequences well beyond the borders of Kashmir. Okay, turning now to the Middle East. Hamas is set to present a new ceasefire proposal in Cairo, one that includes the release of all remaining hostages and a 5-year truce with Israel, but with zero intention of disarming. According to a Saudi-owned news outlet, the plan envisions a one-phase release of hostages in exchange for an agreed-upon number of Palestinian prisoners, echoing past exchanges that have become familiar flashpoints in this grinding war. The draft also demands Israeli forces pull back to positions held during the short-lived January ceasefire that was negotiated with help from the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt. That agreement kept IDF troops largely stationed along Gaza's borders, including the strategic Philadelphia corridor. A total halt to Israeli military operations is also a key component of Hamas's proposal. Hamas is further calling for the resumption of humanitarian aid flowing into the enclave, something that Israel cut off in early March in an effort to strong-arm the terror group into accepting a ceasefire. As we've covered here on the PDB, the blockade was later justified by Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, who cited intelligence reports that the Iran-backed group was selling humanitarian aid that it seized to bankroll its war chest. Now, as part of this latest proposal, Hamas is asking for international guarantees backing a 5-year ceasefire and the formation of a technocratic committee to oversee civilian governance in Gaza. It's an idea that originated in earlier Egyptian proposals. Perhaps most politically charged, Hamas signaled the potential to reconcile with Fatah, the rival faction that dominates the Palestinian Authority, the PA. Now, the PA currently governs parts of the West Bank and has long clashed with Hamas over the future of Palestinian leadership. But despite the new diplomatic packaging, Hamas's red line remains unmoved: no disarmament. That refusal has, of course, torpedoed past talks, and it would seem that this time is no different. According to the Times of Israel, Hamas has told Arab mediators it's open to a long-term truce with Israel, complete with a freeze on tunnel construction and weapons production, but surrendering arms is off the table. Despite Hamas's attempt to sow the rift with the PA in the draft, its rivalry did take center stage this week when PA President Mahmoud Abbas unloaded a fiery speech on Hamas. Abbas accused Hamas of giving Israel an excuse to prolong its ground offensive and demanded that the terror group release Israeli hostages. In perhaps his most forceful threat since the war began 18 months ago, Abbas declared, quote, "Sons of dogs, just release whoever you're holding and be done with it. Shut down excuses and spare us," end quote. Well, he didn't stop there. Abbas called for Hamas to hand over weapons and relinquish governing authority to the PA and transform itself into a political party. As of now, Hamas holds 59 hostages, though more than half are believed to be dead. And as the terror group signals some diplomatic flexibility on one hand, its unwillingness to disarm leaves open the question: is this a real path of any sort to peace, or just another stalling tactic? Coming up next in the back of the brief, a first-of-its-kind legal move as the Trump administration brings racketeering charges against the TDA gang. We'll have those details next. Hey, Mike Baker here. Well, you've probably guessed this already, but the tariffs, the trade wars, it's kind of brought some chaos into the global economy. And the potential widespread inflation tied to massive supply chain disruptions, well, it's weighing heavily on all of us. But I'm here to tell you that there is a silver and also a gold lining that I think some people have missed. You see, what I mean is President Trump specifically exempted gold and silver bullion from the sweeping tariffs. And while the new policies are certainly triggering some financial chaos, the administration preserved your ability to diversify into precious metals. If you're concerned about your savings, I encourage you to have a free consultation with a Birch Gold precious metals specialist. Look, the first step is very easy. Just text PDB to the number 989-898 and receive your free no-obligation information kit on gold. Learn how to hold gold and silver in a tax-sheltered account. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a gold IRA for no money out of pocket. Find out why so many Americans trust Birch Gold to protect their savings with gold. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of thankful customers, just text PDB to the number 989-898. Again, text PDB to 989-898 to claim your free information kit right now. In today's Back of the Brief, federal authorities are taking the gloves off in their fight against the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, TDA, recently invoking a rare federal law that traditionally is used to go after the American mob. Earlier this week, the U.S. Justice Department used the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, or often known as the RICO Act, to charge 27 current and former members of TDA with murder, human smuggling, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, and other crimes. It marked the first time that U.S. authorities have used RICO charges to go after the operations of the Venezuelan gang, which was officially designated a terrorist group by President Trump earlier this year. That's according to a report from Fox News. The charges were filed in two separate indictments by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York as part of what the Justice Department has dubbed, quote, Operation Take Back America. Now, the operation seeks to achieve the, quote, total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations from American communities. RICO charges are unique in that they allow prosecutors to charge not just individual criminal actors, but associates tied to their broader criminal enterprise. New York Police Department Commissioner Jessica Tisch praised the operation, noting it's the first time that TDA has been, quote, named and charged as the criminal enterprise that it is. The first indictment charged 6 current members of TDA, while the second charged 21 alleged members, as well as associates of a splinter gang known as Anti-Tren, composed of former TDA members. Officials said 21 of the 27 gang members named in the indictments are currently in federal custody, 5 of whom were arrested within the past week. The suspects are accused of committing numerous murders and shootings, forcing young women trafficked from Venezuela into sex slavery, extorting small businesses, and selling a pink powdery drug that's known as pink cocaine. Most of those charged are in their 20s, though the oldest member named in the indictment is 44. They all face multiple sentences of life in prison if found guilty. Attorney General Pam Bondi hailed the operation, saying, quote, TDA is not just a street gang. It's a highly structured terrorist organization that's destroyed American families with brutal violence, engaged in human trafficking, and spread deadly drugs throughout our communities. She added that the indictments and arrests will, quote, devastate TDA's infrastructure as we work to completely dismantle and purge this organization from our country. As we've been tracking on the PDB, the Trump administration has made targeting the violent gang one of its top priorities and has already deported hundreds of alleged members to El Salvador's mega prison. And that, my friends, is the President's Daily Brief for Thursday, the 24th of April. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And in case you haven't heard the scuttlebutt, if you want to listen to the show ad-free, just become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back later today with the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Well, I know that you know this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Owning a handgun or any weapon for self-defense comes with serious responsibility, and You need it to be both secure and accessible when it matters most. That's what StopBox USA set out to solve with their StopBox Pro. Look, it's a lockbox that gives you instant access to your firearm. There's no electronics or keys or codes required. The 5-button locking system, it responds to your unique input. It's built for muscle memory, so you're not thinking, you're reacting. I have a StopBox Pro at home, and let me tell you something, it's an excellent piece of kit. It really is. It's extremely well made, it's secure, and it is easy to use, and that's important. With the StopBox Pro, you don't have to trade safety for speed. Your firearm stays secure and always within reach. For a limited time only, not only do you get 10% off your entire order when you use the code PDB at StopBoxUSA.com, but they're also giving you buy one, get one free for their StopBox Pro. That's correct. 10% off and a free StopBox Pro when you use code PDB at StopBoxUSA.com. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with StopBox.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.